Welcome back. This year at Sundance, a couple of films, several films talking about the situation in Syria and in Aleppo. One of those is a documentary in the World Cinema Documentary category, competition film. It's called Last Men In Aleppo. We have the director and co-director, editor here right now, Feras Fayyad and Steen Johannessen. Both of your first times in Sundance?
First time here.
Yeah, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And just explain to me the plot, the background of the film Last Men In Aleppo.
The idea started like in 2014 about how we can tell a story about the humanitarian worker. And then later we developed the idea to follow White Helmets, a group from White Helmets. And we're thinking about how we can more focus, not just about a White Helmet as a group. We need to focus about this is people as a human being, as people have a family, a life behind the war, behind their dangerous work. Because the sadness that we saw in Syria, this is people, they sacrifice in their life, they risk in their life to save the others, and they killed from the Russian bombing and Assad regime and his earliest bombing, and leave behind them like a lot of families, children, wives, mothers, and they being alone.
So people who don't know what White Helmets are, maybe who don't watch the news religiously, explain to us what that is.
So the White Helmets is an organization that it's consisting of volunteers from the opposition side areas in Syria, where they basically they have stepped in where the existing structures has fallen down of civil defense work, as firemen, as rescue workers, and also other things, helping the society.
Yeah, it's they called like a civil defense. They work the civil defense things, but their missions is like rescue the people, and in the local community called the Syrian Civil Defense, and for the word White Helmet. The background of this is people, they are most of them normal people, construct and student, who is like decide just like to go to save the people, not have the weapon, and they feel like their mission, their human mission in there.
Volunteers.
Yes, they volunteers.
You focused on Khalid and Mahmoud. Tell me how you found them.
Actually, Mahmoud and Khalid was like between 6 characters already. We chose like 6 characters in this story. And in during like the working on this story, we decide like to take 2 different characters from different background. Like Mahmoud is a student, philosophy student from the background as a student, and other as a construct person from this is background. One have a family and other doesn't have a family, just have a brother. So we decide like to focus on their fair interior conflict about their between that they stuck between this is the idea between their interior fear about their families and responsibility about their community to save children, save other lives, and the whole film follow this is conflict which is in with Khalid and Mahmoud in the end of the story. I will not tell what the end of the story. I would love to the people to follow and watch how the story ends.
What was their reaction to being followed, to being the subject of this film?
Of course, we've been following them for a long time, for like a year or more, and there's been times where they are, they get tired of the camera, and this sometimes have taken a lot of work to make them understand why it's so important, because for them they feel that the camera and being part of the film is something that that's not what they signed up for. They just want to go out and save people, and that's what's important for them, and to do this work. And so this having the film made and having the cameras around them, it is hard. I mean, in the daily life, that you always have this. And also, I mean, the way other people look at you when you have the camera, and it creates some tensions maybe, and then they feel, at one point, they get enough many times, and then but of course there is a bigger mission, and they, they also understand this, and that's why they go into it.
Yeah.
So
They feel like it's kind of show off, and they feel their work just for goodness, nothing for that. This is normal work. They should do it like for their community, and this is hard moment for them, but they trust. And after the long conversation, they trust to share their stories, because it's important. We have this communication between me and them, and I ask them like, you have to share your story. This is the only way to can tell the people what's going on, to get these people to know your work. And you have to trust in the people that they will help you and make any action and any movement to stand with you, to fight with you against this war, to stop this war. And then they trust. They trust that who will watch this story, they can do anything. They can at least like go to like their send the money and doing like tell the stories about them, and all of this is help things.
And at least one piece of news footage of one of your guys did make a difference, and people may have seen it before. And we have a trailer right now of your film, and we're going to take a look at it. Last Men in Aleppo. Take a look. People see the bombing and the rubble, and they get a little immune to it, and they see a baby being pulled from rubble.
Yeah.
It's an amazing, emotional experience.
Yeah, and this is what you saw. Like, this is the mid of the conflict, the interior conflict for the character. He's have his children on his leg, and responsibility in his mobile, and his children proud of him. And this is a moment. It's like we have like feel this is could be like good point to start and to explain the conflict and to explain like the character of Khalid. And this is for also this moment was like a kind of artistic point of view. This is we haven't seen like in Michelangelo painting. This is the recreation of Adam, when the hand of Michelangelo, when of the hand that the God touched like Adam's, and the recreating. It's the same moment, but this is real. This is a documentary. This is real. This is about Syria, and explain the whole situation. The victim is the children, and the work of this is a man who leave his family, and the sound of the hard work enter to his house. This is what we want to tell from this film.
Incredibly powerful, that one scene.
yeah, I also think, this saving lives and saving the children's lives for them is, this is the core of why they keep on doing this work, because of course there are many failures. It's most of the people, the children, and they pull out are not alive.
Right.
They are dead. So to have these kind of glimmers of hope that sometimes this actually happens, is a lot of the energy that they have. It comes from that.
It's interesting because you see scenes also, they're on the motorbike, they're playing, they're going to the store. It almost makes what their work as white helmets, it almost makes it kind of surreal that both of these things are going on simultaneously.
Yeah. But the consequence of bombing in a place where civilians live, that is the consequence of that. That you don't have any soldiers in these areas, because all the soldiers are out on the front line. So it's very seldom that you will see anybody with a gun.
And the bomb is coming to the civilians area, which is like we see in this is evidence, like the what make this footage is important. It's like witnesses, evidence for the crime against the humanity. It's apart from this film, and this is film just evidence about the whole crime, and the whole world like watching and couldn't understand this is happening now in 21st century, and this is horrible for these people, and for this, and here it's like also like this kind of sacrifice from the cinematographer, which is like they decide like to capture this moment. Also it's double kind of sacrifice. They want to do the people they want to document the moment, and there is a people they want to do this job. It's like double of kind of sacrifice to do the human being works.
And let's talk a little bit about the cinematography, because it wasn't safe for either of you to be there, so you actually had crews that you were directing from elsewhere. Tell us a little bit about that. That's super interesting.
So we have made a cooperation with something called Aleppo Media Center, and it's mainly 3-4 photographers from there that are from Aleppo, and they have lived there throughout the war and the revolution, and they choose to stay there to document what's going on. And then in our cooperation, of course, they also, like the rescue workers, risk their lives just by staying, but also because they go to these immense dangerous situations, because the Syrian regime and the Russians, they have made this system of they call it a double tap attack. It's that they throw a bomb and then they wait maybe 10 minutes and then they throw another bomb, meaning, or maybe half an hour, meaning that when you throw a bomb, everybody comes to the place, try to help people, and then they throw another bomb just to hit the rescue workers.
Addition for ISIS.
And there is like plenty of documentation of this. This happens, and it's happened many times. And of course, our photographers, they know that when they go out there, and I mean, if anywhere in Aleppo, that would be the most risky place to go, is the place where they just bomb, because
Addition for this is like ISIS car bombs, the extreme that we use it like, and also in this film, it was like a big moment for the character, we use it like in the storytelling, that a moment like too much effective. ISIS was using a car bomb with a TNT to the civilians' places and explosion. This is car, and the victim also the civilians, and also the citizen journalists. Many of the citizen journalists killed by the explosion car. From this is like surprised. We call it like the surprised kill. And the mission of this people was like already like work for a long time with a big media agency, like making news reportage and also news documentaries. But for them, like they feel like they want to tell something for bigger, something it's like mean a lot. It's like following the human being and the feeling of our human being values. And we have this conversation about what's meaning to be like in documentary film, what's mean like to be in the film, what mean it's like to be in the story, and all of this it was like a kind of the hope between us, between us, like in the conversation. We have a goal. We will tell the story. We will make a film to tell the people, to open the eyes of the people about what's happened in Syria, to make it like just make their eyes more wider, like to see there is like a big human suffering happen there, and to tell at least the politician like Trump and others to know this is people not leaving their country just because they are happy to leave. They are forced to leave.
I think that your film does that. I could talk all day long, but unfortunately we have to get out. The film has already had its run here at Sundance, so just really quickly, where can they see it from now?
Next, we have this plan will be like also in the theater in US, but should be like in February, after February, like, and it will be like 2 to 3 months, and then in Europe, in Denmark, Germany, England, and France.
All right, thank you. Congratulations and good luck this evening in the competition. Last Men in Aleppo. And we will be right back with much more, or a little bit more, from In the Can.